Hello and welcome into Before the Basket. I'm Kara Adams, and today I'm joined alongside a very good friend of mine, Josh Pos from Indiana Rivals. Josh, how are you today?
Well, a wise man once said, this is March, Kara, and here we are in March. This is the best time of year, and I'm excited to be here.
It is. Best time of the year for sure. And spring is coming up as well, too. A little bit warmer weather, and of course, basketball. What more could you want?
No, you can't ask for more. I mean, a little bit less rain is what I want.
I agree. That'd be good for me, too. All right, but let's get right into this. So this Indiana team, they went out to the Pacific Northwest. They had a trip to Washington first and a pretty dominant win out there for them, 78-62. What worked for the Hoosiers last Saturday?
Well, they took care of business. They, first of all, debuted those beautiful black uniforms that everyone loved, and it was awesome. And they played just as sharp as those uniforms, Kara. They took the lead early and never looked back. I mean, Washington had their runs back and forth, but Luke Goody was fantastic. Malik Renew made his first 6 shots, went 17 of his last 17, spanning back to the UCLA game. That's impressive, and he was fantastic. Altogether, a team effort that Indiana put together really for the first time since the Minnesota game, 40 minutes of good play.
Certainly a strong team effort. And just kind of they carried that momentum from Bloomington after their win against Purdue and Penn State. But then they went to Eugene, and things did not go as well for them. What went wrong for them there?
It was just a late game collapse. It was kind of death by 1,000 cuts. There was a lot of offensive rebounds for Oregon leading to second chance points, and that was really the difference in the game. I mean, you can't really fault Indiana because they played really hard for 38 minutes and about 40 seconds. It was those final minute 20 that we've seen most of the time this year that Indiana could have. They play the full 40 minutes like they did in Washington. They could have 4 or 5 more wins, but a good team like Oregon will capitalize on mistakes and win down the stretch, and that's what happened to Eugene.
Right. I mean, Trey Galloway made that 3 to give Indiana the 64-63 lead with about 1:58 to go, but then Indiana just went scoreless. They didn't score. Oregon went on their 10-0 run, and Indiana fell 73-64. And that game was kind of like a almost win-and-end game, maybe, per se, for the NCAA tournament for the Hoosiers. So with that loss, now they've got a big one on Saturday. Ohio State's coming to town. Last game of the season at home for the Hoosiers. Senior night as well. And both these teams are 9-10. They're tied in the Big Ten, and they're tied for 9th in the Big Ten. They really have to win this game to avoid playing Wednesday as well in the Big Ten tournament next week and try and play on Thursday. So, Josh, what does Indiana need to do to win it?
Well, we saw these two teams face off in January, and it was a really good game in Columbus. But Indiana came away with an overtime win without Malik Renew. That is important to remember. Malik Renew is back. Indiana had a size advantage in that game against Ohio State with Umar Ballo. But now if you can put both of them together, Malik Renew playing his best ball, Umar Ballo still averaging double-double about a night, Indiana really needs to go down low, win the board battle, do exactly the opposite on the glass of what they did in Eugene. But a home crowd, senior day, there's 3 Indiana guys. You got Mike Woodson's last game at Assembly Hall. Everything should go your way if you can really play a bigger style and also hit the 3. Luke Goody had 23 points in that game-winning 3 in overtime.
Yeah, if they can hit the 3, that'll certainly help control their own destiny. And, you mentioned it, Mike Woodson's last home game at Indiana. And they've all talked about it in media. They're playing for something bigger now. Another chance for them to kind of just regroup from Oregon, come back home, have a couple days off to get ready for it, and just kind of really try and win it at home for this Indiana team. Josh, what are your score predictions for that one?
It's going to be tough because this team, I remember after the Illinois game, Luke Goody said we need to play for the name on the front. There's no name on the back, but a lot of people are playing for that name on the back. And the name on the front has been really the top priority for the last 5 games for Indiana. They need to continue that. I think they do. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Indiana wins by 8 to 10 points.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Indiana gets it done, maybe by 5 or 6, but they get that win, and then they go and get ready for Big Ten tournament next week. But let's take a little bit look ahead to after the Big Ten tournament. So kind of, it almost feels like Indiana can control their own destiny. Win Saturday, win that first game in the Big Ten tournament next Thursday, hopefully, when they're playing. And then you've got a chance to get into the tournament.
Yeah, not only do you have a chance to get in the tournament, you got a chance to get out of Dayton with 2 more wins. Obviously, the game against Oregon, if you win that game, you're out of Dayton completely no matter what happens on Saturday. But nevertheless, Indiana has to play, has to win. Biggest thing is that Indiana, not only with Joe Lunardi's bracketology, I don't really look at just one single one. I know you put it on here. But bracket matrix.
Yeah.
114 out of 118. Second 11 seed. That's out of Dayton right now, according to all the brackets out there. So I think that Indiana's in good shape with 1 win against Ohio State. and they would have to play Oregon on
Right.
Thursday, a team they'd match up well with in Eugene. It's going to be in Indianapolis. It should be a pro-Indiana crowd, definitely not a pro-Oregon crowd, but Indiana has a chance to go on a run a little bit. Michigan State, they've already knocked off, but you got to focus on the next game. The next game is Ohio State, and if you win that, you're in the field of 68. You kind of want to push to the field of 64, though.
Certainly. A way to avoid Dayton in that those play-in games would be huge for this Indiana team. But, Josh, thank you so much for coming on today. And Indiana will just have to wait and see. Indiana can control their own destiny and see if they can make a run in the big dance. And with that, thank you so much for watching another episode of Before the Basket. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at IUSTV Sports for all the updates on men's basketball. And once again, alongside Josh Pos, I'm Kara Adams.